reward people who jump into the insurance business that they then grant the contracts to. That's what this is all about in my primitive understanding of it.
Of course, it's about power and money, those two things, and that's all it's about. It's about making us dependent so they can have more power, and it's about manipulating the money for health care. You know, they talk about health care as being, 17% of the GNP, and they've got to do something about that. Well, government's 25% of the GNP. We ought to do something about that.
There's an article out today, Hispanics watching healthcare debate closely because they make up the largest majority of the uninsured. It turns out that this is all about insuring the illegal alien. How in the world could this disgrace have come to light and the people are not acting out on this? How in the world can they be demanding that we, the taxpayer, already taxed to death, support health care for illegal aliens?
Well, it's unbelievable. I can't understand it. I think part of it is, look, we're a country that has our head in the sand. Most of the people do. They were educated after a time when the far-left liberals took over the education system. And they've been led as if they have a ring through their nose through this. And they just don't understand. The fact is they're going to lose their country. It's like the Visigoths moving into the Italian peninsula prior to the fall of Rome. In this case, the Western Roman Empire. They're going to lose their country because, as you say, there's no language, culture, borders. We're not talking about legal immigration. This is illegal immigration. They ought to be taken to the border.
But here's Obama in Mexico today pandering to the illegal aliens in Mexico and their families saying, don't worry, we'll give you health care reform even if we can't get immigration reform. Don't worry, hang in there. The man is answering to La Raza. He put the head of La Raza, Cecilio Munoz, into the White House. They're running the country. Dr. Rosenblum writes for The American Thinker. He has just appeared on the Savage Nation. Dr. Rosenblum, anytime you are so motivated to wish to call this program, I would welcome you and give you a priority boarding pass.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Please call me Frank. We both have doctorates. Let's not be formal.
Okay, Dr. Rosenblum. Thanks for being on the Savage Nation. I worked so hard for my degree. I certainly respect the other people who have as well. I don't have an honorary degree, unlike some. I'll be right back. Borders, language, and culture. You care about these things. I tell you why they're important. The Savage Nation, weekdays 3 till 7 on Talk 910 KNEW. Well, we're talking about health care reform. We're talking about the monsters that are behind Obama. This is the most radical left-wing regime America has ever seen. All of the crazies from the universities from the 60s onward are now running America's policies. They're now projecting their madness onto the American people, and the American people are fighting back. They're pushing back. They're acting out because they finally understand the danger they are in. Whether it is too little, too late, remains to be seen. I'll give you another example. I have a number of cars, one of which is a toy of mine. It's a 1965 Cadillac convertible with about 55,000 miles. I've had it since 1994. I got it the year I went into radio. I bought it used. It was in good shape. I've used this in a live performance once. I had it out on the stage at the Concord Pavilion. I drove out in it when the show began and honked the horn at a red light, got out with the newspapers and started to do my bit based on the news. It was a very good stunt and a very good, prop. And I love this car, keep it in the garage. But I don't use it but once or twice a year. So I took it out about a month ago. I put it back in, and it stank and stank and stank and stank. Now, I'm used to these old cars smelling for a few days, usually a drip on a downpipe. This went on and on. So I smelled gas, went on, didn't see any in the tank, near the tank, because I had the tank replaced 5 years ago. So now I just got a call from my mechanic, and he says, well, the old 65 Caddy, we found an oil leak, a cracked fuel line, and a differential leak. Now, what would old Ezekiel Emanuel say? Withhold the repairs, kill the Cadillac? After all, it's a 1965, and it's had a good life until now. Let it go into the junkyard? And some days I wake up and I look at my dog Teddy, my little 10-pound Teddy. What a useless dog he is. After all, he doesn't hunt. He doesn't fish. He's not a guard dog per se. Would Rahm Emanuel and his good old brother Ezekiel, one day will we wake up and hear that we have to euthanize our dogs and cats? Because after all, they create such a high carbon footprint. Think about the amount of carbon that a dog or a cat puts out proportionate to its weight on the planet. Think about the amount of carbon that is required to make the dog food and make the packaging. Think about the amount of veterinary care that these poor animals need from time to time. Why, they're all decadent, and they're all part of the capitalist excess. And so, therefore, the government under Obama and the Emanuels are going to ask you to turn your dog into the government veterinary care center so they can be euthanized to let other, more useful dogs live. Perhaps mongrels from other countries that can be used in some way for the government to keep you controlled in the internment camp.
Savage. Michael Savage. Afternoons 3 to 7 on Talk 910 KNEW and online at 910KNEW.com.